A very good morning to all of you. Myself, Dr. Varun Narayan Mishra. Today, I am going to discuss about several surveying methods in DGPS. So yesterday, we have discussed some basics and some techniques and tools used in DGPS. What is DGPS? How it works. Today, we will see how many methods or how many types of surveying methods are available in differential GPS. Okay, so before starting, I would like to just briefly discuss the last things which I have discussed yesterday, like what is differential GPS. So as we know that DGPS is a technique for reducing the errors in the GPS derived positions by using the additional data from the reference GPS receiver. Whatever the data we are receiving from the GPS signal, whatever the data we are having, the coordinates that may have some error because of different factors, multipath error, maybe because of atmospheric errors and other things. So we use differential GPS. In differential GPS, we use two different GPS receivers to rectify the errors caused by different factors, whatever the signal we are receiving from the GPS satellite. So differential GPS or DGPS have the accuracies of between 1 to 10 meters. That is very much possible by using DGPS. Okay. Now moving to the next slide. So what is the need of differential GPS? As we know that each GPS receiver using the time signal from at least 4 satellites, we need to have the signals from at least 4 satellites to get the positioning and timing at any place on the earth. Okay, so this GPS receivers are used to establish a position. Then each of those timing signal is going to have some errors. But because of several factors, like ionospheric effect, tropospheric effect, multipath error, okay, there may be some problems because of the atomic clock. There may be some problems because of the receiver error. So we may have some errors in the GPS signals which is coming from the GPS satellites. Okay, since each of the timing signal that go into the position calculation has some errors, that's why we cannot directly go for the use of that GPS signals. So when we use a modified form of GPS, you can say it is differential GPS. Differential GPS is a modified form of the GPS. Okay, in short, we call it as DGPS. It can significantly reduce various inaccuracies in the GPS system, so that we will have more precise positional accuracy. We will have more precise information about the location of any object on the real world, on the earth or in real world objects. Differential GPS involves the operation of two GPS receivers. Okay, and one is stationary, that is known as base, and another is rowing around the earth. You can say it is rowing around the study area to make the positional accuracy, positional measurement, that is known as rover. So in DGPS, there are two terms, base and rover. So the stationary receiver, that is base, it is fixed at the known location, and it is very important. It ties all the satellite measurements into a solid local reference, because the base station is installed at a known location, so it will have very less possibility to have the errors in the positional accuracy. So we use this information to get the accurate information, to get the accurate coordination system by using the rover. Okay, so this is the working principle of DGPS. You can see here there are two GPS receivers. One GPS receiver is established fixed at a known location, that is base station, and another GPS receiver is used to row around the study area. Means it will be used to visit the entire study area, that is known as rover GPS receiver or base. So both the GPS receivers will receive the signal coming from at least 4 satellites. You can see here this GPS receiver, which is established at the known location, that is base station. It is also having signal from different GPS satellites, and this is the rover station. You can see here a man is standing, and that rover GPS is having this man is having this rover GPS. It is also having, it is also receiving the signal coming from the different satellites. At least 4 satellites are required to get the positioning and timing. So whatever the data captured, whatever the signal received by the base station, it is known to us. This location is fixed, so it will correct the errors that will be in the rover station. Okay, because it is known, so there may be the less possibility of the errors, any kind of errors. It will measure the true xyz coordinate. Okay, that true value of xyz means latitude, longitude, and elevation will be sent to the measured xyz by the rover. That's why the errors in the rover will be rectified by using the fixed position of that GPS at the base station. So the basic principle is very simple. If you know the position of anything, if you already know the coordinate of any location, so whatever the signal it receives, you can easily define, you can easily identify what kind of how many positional accuracy, how much positional accuracy in that coordinate, because it is already known to you. The location is known to you, so you know the exact latitude, longitude of that position. So that information will be used to correct, to modify, or to reduce the errors that is received by the rover station, that is rover GPS. Okay, so this is the way in which the DGPS works. And in the next slide, so there are different stages, different factors that is used during the working of DGPS. So first is that the stationary GPS receiver must be located on the known location. That is, that will be any known control point. That will be any known location in your study area. Okay, and that stationary base station, that is, that is base station, works backward. Instead of using the timing to the calculate position, it uses its position to calculate the timing. Okay, it can do this because precise location of stationary receiver is known. Okay, you know the location of the base station, so you don't need to collect the data, don't need to collect the coordinate by the base station, because its location is already known to you. But the signal which is received by that base station is also having error. So that error is having some distortion, having some shifting in the positional accuracy, and you already know the exact location. So you can have the differential technique. You can rectify that error by knowing its accurate positioning. Okay, hence it is isolation. It is hence, so it is the location of the satellite. Once it knows the error, it determines the correction factor and send to the other receiver. Okay, basic is that when you are having the base station का location आपको पता है, during that when it receives the signal, obviously there may be some errors in that signal. So on the basis of that signal, there may be some error in the positioning, but you know the position, already you know the position of that base station, and the coordinates that is received, that is measured by the GPS signal coming from the satellite, will have some error. So exact position is already known to you, and the coordinates received by the GPS signal will have some error. There may be some distortion, there may be some positional inaccuracy. So you can easily identify how much error is there, or how much deviation in the position of any point on the earth surface. So this information will be used to correct the coordinates, to correct the information received by the rover station. So the message is sent from the base station to rover station with the correction factor. Now the base station sent the message to the rover station that this much will be the error in the position. So on the basis of that error, rover station use that information to correct its own positioning of different location over the study area. Okay, so if it is possible, we may have more reference station. Okay, we can have 2-3 more reference station, so that it will easily reduce, it will easily rectify the errors caused by the different factors in the GPS signal. Okay, so this is the way you can see here. This is the way in which we have base station and rover station. Okay, base station is the stationary receiver. It can be installed, it can be established at any suitable location of study area that is already known to you. Okay, and rover is the GPS receiver which we move to take the readings at different places of the site. We move the rover receiver. We move with the rover receiver to take the coordinates, to take the readings, to take the observations at different locations of that study area. Okay, so this is the base and rover. Base is already known to you, the location of base is known to you, but the rover will collect different readings. Rover will collect coordinates at different positions. So on the basis of the known location of base station, it is very easy to calculate, to rectify the errors caused in the rover GPS in terms of positional accuracies, in terms of shifting in the exact location on the real world feature of any earth surface feature. Okay, so when we are talking about differential GPS, there are different types of surveying techniques in differential GPS. Three important surveying techniques is static, rapid static, and real-time kinematics. These three are most commonly used surveying methods using differential GPS. So first we will discuss static DGPS survey. So in static DGPS survey, okay, the receiver is motionless for the time, usually a relatively long occupation. We put the receiver in the constant position for a long period of time. Okay, and this static DGPS surveying is a relatively positioning technique which employs two or more stationary receivers simultaneously tracking the same satellite. One receiver, the base receiver, that is established at a known location, is set up over a point with the precisely known coordinate. Okay, the other receiver, that is rover is receiver, is set up over a point whose coordinates are unknown. Okay, so in static DGPS survey, the the principle is very simple. Its working principle is very simple, that one receiver will be established at the known coordinates, another GPS receiver will have unknown coordinates. So this method of surveying is based on collecting the simultaneous measurements at both the base and remote receiver for a certain period of time. So we collect the data sets parallelly at both the receivers, at the base as well as on the rover station. Okay, after processing, we will have the information about the errors, and that error will be used to rectify the positional shifting, or you can say the errors in the precise location of any point on the real world object. Okay, so here you see it involves long observation, like you need to have 1 to 2 hours depending on the number of visible satellites for getting the coordinate or at any location. For getting the positional information at any location, you need to have the long observational time, that is it will have 1 to 2 hours. Means you have to be in the same position, you have to be at the same location for 1 to 2 hours. Okay, depending on the number of visible satellites, you have to wait for 1 to 2 hours to see how many number of satellites are visible to your receiver. That's what is known as static DGPS. Static means you will be at the same position for 1 to 2 hours, okay, to get the maximum number of visible satellites, to get the signals from maximum number of visible satellites in order to resolve the integer ambiguities between the satellite and the receiver. Okay, so using this method, accuracies in the sub centimeter is will be obtained. It is possible to have the accuracies up to centimeter level using static DGPS survey. That is because we are having long observational time. We are having long observation time. How much time you will take to see the number of satellites? If we are getting more number of satellites, if we are getting the signals coming from maximum number of satellites, so it will definitely improve our accuracy. Okay, and this static DGPS survey is very good for getting the centimeter level of accuracy, but it will take more time because you need to have 1 to 2 hours to get the coordinate at same location. Okay, so it's a tedious job. It is time taking, it's a time consuming static survey, but it will provide you accuracies up to centimeter level. Okay, so this is the way in which this static DGPS survey works. Your one GPS receiver is fixed at the known location, that is base. Another GPS receiver is established at unknown location, or you can say the rover, whatever you use it to move around the study area. Okay, and on the basis of the signals coming from different satellites, both the receivers will have signals coming from various satellites. Known GPS receiver is also having signal from various satellites. Unknown GPS receiver will also have signal from different satellites. Okay, so on the basis of the signals coming from satellites, known GPS means the position of the GPS which is already known to you. It calculates the shifting in the positional accuracy. It corrects the errors, and that information will be sent to the rover station that will use that information to correct the errors in that positioning accuracy. Okay, so this is very basic and very important DGPS survey, static DGPS survey. It will take much longer time. It is a time consuming process, but it will provide you the precise accuracy. It will provide you the accuracies up to centimeter level. Second surveying method is rapid static DGPS survey. Name is rapid static, means we take the observations at a short period of time. Okay, it is also known as fast static survey. The process is same. It is having same process as static DGPS survey. The only difference is that in case of rapid static DGPS survey, the observational time is only 5 to 20 minutes. Matlab you have to wait for 5 to 20 minutes at the same location, at the same position, to get the readings, to get the observations. That's why it is known as fast static survey. It is used to measure the short baseline up to 15 kilometer and determine the position in the centimeter level with short observation times. Baseline means the distance between the base station and the rover station, the rover GPS. Okay, it should be within the range of 15 kilometers. Okay, if your base station is established at some position A, so you have at least you have maximum 15 kilometer of radius to visit the study area to and to get the coordinates. So the distance between the base station and the rover receiver will be having 15 kilometer maximum distance. Okay, and it determines the position in centimeter level, but we are using short observation time, like you have to wait for 5 to 20 minutes at the same location to get the coordinates, to get the observations. Okay, so the observational time is depends on the length of the baseline and number of visible satellites. Okay, the length of baseline, you can reduce or increase the baseline, you can reduce or increase the length of the baseline, means the distance between the rover and base, and how many number of satellites are visible at the time of data acquisition. If we are getting more number of visible satellites, so you need to have more observational time you can have. Okay, okay, if you are having less number of satellites, so you need to have below more than 20 minutes 30 minutes of observational time. Okay, if you quickly observe 10 satellites, then you can have 5 to 20 minutes. But if you are not getting the visible number of satellites, if you are not getting the signals from maximum number of satellites, so it is required to increase, it is required to have more observational time. So it will be more than 20 minutes 30 minutes 40 minutes, depending on the number of visible satellites by the GPS receiver. Okay, so in this rapid static DGPS survey, no need to maintain the lock with moving rover from one station to the next, since each baseline is processed independently. In fact, in DGPS static survey, what happens? The receiver can be turned off to preserve the batteries. You can turn off the batteries at for some time. Okay, but it is not recommended. But if you want to preserve the battery life, so you can switch off your receivers for a shorter period of time. Okay, the combination of stop and go kinetic, pseudo kinetic, and static surveying method. Okay, so it is also known as stop and go kinematic process. Means stop and go means you stop at the position, then observe, then take the reading and go for the next reading. So it is also known as stop and go kinematic. Stop, take the observation and go for the next observation. Okay, it is a stop and go kinematic also. So this is the way in which rapid static DGPS survey works. You can see here it is similar to static survey, but it uses a special technique called wide laning. Wide laning means to provide almost same accuracies as with static survey with reduced observational time. Okay, in the rapid static survey, we need to have more observational time. We need to have one base station and one rover station. But in rapid static survey, it is using the wide laning process. Wide laning process means you can have the entire study area. You can use the entire study area to get the coordinates. If you want, if you cover the wide area part for getting the coordinates, for getting the positional accuracies, it is known as wide laning. Wide laning means you are going to cover wide area. It is possible because your observational time is only 5 to 20 minutes. But in rapid static, you need to wait for 1 to 2 hours for getting the coordinates. So it is not possible to cover the larger area in the static survey. You can have only 4 to 5 locations in a day when you are going for a static DGPS survey, because you need to wait for 1 to 2 hours. So it is not possible to cover the large area in static DGPS survey. While as in rapid static DGPS survey, you need to have only 5 to 20 minutes of observational time. So you can cover the large area. You can have the more coordinates. You can have the more observationals. So you can visit the larger part of the study area. Okay, that's why it is known as wide laning process. Wide laning process means you are going to cover the larger area of your site to get the positioning, to get the coordinates. Okay, and you can get the accuracies up to 5 to 10 millimeter to 1 ppm using this rapid static DGPS survey. So here you see this is the reference station that is known to you, and all are the positions of the rover stations. Rover station means the receivers, and the receiver which is used to collect the observations at different positions: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, whatever, how much locations is possible. You can have different locations to get the coordinates using the rover GPS, and reference station is fixed. So all are having the all should be the range of 15 kilometer only. Okay, you can visit any location within the range of 15 kilometer around reference station or base station. Okay. There are several advantages of rapid static survey. It is very easy, quick and efficient. Okay, it is ideal for short range survey, and it conserves the battery power. Okay, because we are using only 5 to 20 minutes of observational time, so you can cover the larger area in a short period of time, and it will also having the quick and efficient surveying technique. So it is very much ideal for short range survey. जल्दी जल्दी अगर आपको लेना है तो you can use this rapid static DGPS survey. Okay, third one is real time kinematics, RTK. RTK, it is little bit difficult in comparison to the static and rapid static. It's known as real time kinematics, means you have to correct the data sets in real time mode. Means no need to go in the lab and process the data. You can process the data in the field also. That's what is known as real time kinematics. You are getting the signals from the satellite, and you have to correct the errors in the field also to get the real time coordinates from for that position, for that location. So the basic concept of RTK is that you have a base station receiver set on a known location. Okay, somewhere in the study area, the base station sends the corrected data to the surveyor who is operating the survey receiver. So in real time kinematics, the base station, the receiver at the base station will send the corrected data to the surveyor who is operating the rover station, who is operating the rover GPS receiver. So the correction data is sent via the Bluetooth. You can also have the data, you can also have the facility for radio signals. You can send the GPS receiver fixed at the base station will send that corrected data to the rover station by using some kind of Bluetooth or some kind of wireless data transfer or any kind of radio signal. So the corrections from the base station receiver can be sent to an unlimited number of rovers. So you can have multiple rovers at a time, and the base station will send the correct data to all the rovers in the study area. Okay, in the field also. Okay, so you can correct the data sets in the field and to get the real-time data sets, real-time coordinates of any location in the study area. The advantages of RTK is that coordinates, you will have the facility to have the coordinates in real time mode. Okay, and mostly the data sets will be in the WJ64 coordinate system. No post processing is required. No need to go to the lab and process the data set. It is a one person system. A person can handle this kind of RTK system. Several rovers can use one reference station. You may have several rovers. You may have several GPS receivers moving around the study area only by using only one reference station. Okay. Disadvantages is that you need to have a data link between the rover and base station. You need to have some communication by using radio signal or any Bluetooth or wireless data transfer method. Okay, and radio contact interrupted by the observations. But in case of mountainous regions, in case of hilly regions, in case of valleys, or in case of tall buildings, it is not possible to send the signal from the base station to the rover station. So in some cases, the radio contact between the base station and rover station may be interrupted by different kinds of obstacles. Otherwise, it is very much useful and very advantageous DGPS survey, because it automatically corrects the errors in the field and no need to go for the post processing in the lab, and only one person can handle this system, RTK. Okay, and you can use several rovers. You can install several rovers at different positions to get the data sets from the reference station. Yeah, this is the way in which RTK surveying method works. You can see here there are different satellites. There are one base station. That base station is receiving the signal from different satellites. Then there is rover. Rover is also receiving signals from different satellites. Okay, so there may be the range between the base station and rover station is around to 10 to 20 kilometer. Okay, and the corrected information, the base station corrects the error, and it will be transmitted through the transmission antenna to the rover station. You can see here, this is a transmission antenna. This transmission antenna sends the corrected signal by the base station towards the rover station. So rover station will have the real-time data in the field, and that information will be used to rectify, to reduce the errors in the GPS coordinates. Okay, so it is very easy, but it requires some communication between the base station and rover station. Okay, and radio communication is important. In case of tall buildings, maybe there may be a problem during the transmission of the data from the base station to the rover station. Okay, okay, but it is very much efficient. It is very quick, and you can get the real-time data sets in the field. So real-time data sets are very much useful for monitoring some moving vehicles, for monitoring some, you can say, in case of navigation, you can use this type of real-time data sets. Okay, and it is possible to have the positional accuracies up to plus minus 2 centimeters using real-time kinematics. Okay, but the only disadvantage is that you need to have some communication medium between the base station and rover station. If it is not possible to have the communication, so you will not get the corrected data sets that will be received by the rover station. Okay, so this is the way in which real-time kinematics works. Okay, yeah, this is the rapid static method. This is the survey plan, means master station, reference station is there. You can have different positions, S1, S2, S3, S4. You can collect the coordinates at different positions around the master station or around the base station. In this way, these are some of the systematic diagram, or you can say the method or surveying scheme. These are some surveying schemes in which you can go for the surveying using the rapid static method. Another is that you can have this kind of surveying also. Okay, you can have the closed loop survey. You can have the loop. You can have some closed boundary for getting the data sets, including master station or base station. Here it is open circle, it is in the closed circle. So there is a base station, and you can have this kind of information. You can start from the base station, then move in this way, and you can end at where the base station is established. So in this way you can have the systematic diagram of transverse method. Okay, this is the way. Now this is the trilateral method. You can also have this kind of systematic surveying. You can have this kind of surveying diagram. You are having master station is here. You can follow these kind of flow chart. You can have this kind of surveying, you can say the system. Okay, master station, then 1 2 3. So you can have trilateration method. Trilateration method means your at least 3 positions will be in the same way, that it will be having this kind of structure. Okay, this is trilateration method. Okay, so the data sets whatever received by the GPS will be displayed in the form of latitude and longitude, and all the latitude longitude information will be in the UTM coordinate system. Whatever the data you are receiving using GPS signal, whatever the data you are receiving by the base station or rover station, it will show you the data sets in the format of latitude, longitude, and the UTM. Okay, so latitude and longitudes, you all know that these are the angles. Okay, and these are used to locate and identify the position over this earth surface. Both uses the center of the earth as a vertex, and both utilize the equator, but they use a different zone, zero reference. This is the equator. Equator is the imaginary line that divides the entire earth into two equal parts. This is northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Okay, so this is the equatorial, this is the equator, and it is known as equatorial plane. Equatorial plane distributes or divides the entire earth into two parts, two equal parts, northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Okay, latitude gives us the location of a place on the east, north, or south of the equator. Latitude is an angular measurement in degrees. You can have the latitude information in terms of degrees. It is ranging from 0 to 90 degree at the poles. Okay, and when we are going to north pole or south pole, like in this way, latitude, north pole and south pole. If you are going to calculate the latitude will be in this way. It calculates the angle from the equator to the north pole. This is the line that is joining the north pole and south pole, and latitude will be the angle measured between the equatorial line or equator and this line, that line joining the north pole and south pole. So all the coordinates measured in this portion of the earth will be having the latitude between 0 to 90 degree range. Okay, and below the equator you will have also latitude and longitude between 0 to 90 degree angle. The only difference is that when we collect the latitude in this part of the earth, it will have latitude n, then here latitude s, n and s, or n and e. You can also n and e word. Okay, longitude describes the location of a place on the earth that is east or west of a north south line called the prime meridian. Okay, this is the prime meridian. This line is prime meridian. This is line which is also known as Greenwich Mean Line. Okay, this line is equator, this line is prime meridian. So longitude measures the angle, longitude measures the position with respect to the meridian. Okay, yeah, this is the longitude. It is the measurement of the angle from the in respect to the meridian line. So the circumference of the earth at the equator is approximately 20,901 miles. So each degree of longitude is around 69 miles. So this is the way in which longitude, you measure the longitude. I'm not going in details. Okay, so the components of DGPS, like there may be there should be a master receiver and rover. Master receiver is kept and known location, that is base station, that the relative position of rover are fixed with respect to the master receiver. Okay, the only two basic components of the GPS is that master receiver and base receiver. Okay, master receiver is like you can say the base receiver, and another is the rover receiver. Rover receiver calculates the relative position in respect to the master receiver. So these are the main components of GPS receiver. There should be an antenna, there should be some sensor, the memory and display panel is there, keyboard is required, there may be some high precision clocks, that is known as precision oscillator quads, power supply is required, at least you should have the battery of 12-volt, computer with supporting software for data downloading and processing is required. So when we are going to use GPS receivers or DGPS receivers, DGPS system, all these factors, all these things are required. Antenna, sensor, memory card, display board, keyboard, and there should be a good clock, good precise clock, that is generally quartz clock. Power supply of 12-volt is required, computer with supporting software is required for data downloading and the processing. Now moving to the next slide. So antenna, the role of antenna is very important in case of DGPS or GPS. So the antenna detects the electromagnetic waves that is arriving from the satellite to the receiver. So whatever the antenna is used in your GPS receiver, it should be very much efficient, it should be very much effective to detect the signals coming from the GPS satellites, and it converts that wave energy into the electric current and amplify the signal strength and hence the signal over the receiver. Okay, so there are several types of antennas are available: monopole or dipole, helix, spiral, microstrip, and choke ring. Okay, so I'm not going in details of these types of antennas. This is very broad topic, but all of your GPS receivers, whatever the GPS receiver you are using, it should have at least monopole kind of antenna. Okay, but for in case of advanced GPS receivers, they are using a spiral helix antenna. Spiral helix antenna is more capable, more efficient to receive the signal coming from the GPS satellites. Okay, the signal will be converted into the wave energy. That wave energy will be converted into the signal that is detected by the receiver electronics, that is received by the system in the GPS receiver. So several antenna types are available. Monopole is widely used antenna type, but in several advanced GPS systems, GPS receivers are now using spiral helix antenna. But these kind of GPS receivers are very costly. Okay, different hardwares are also available for GPS system or DGPS system, like Trimble dual frequency hardware. Hardware means receiver. We are talking about receiver. The Trimble GPS receiver is available. STech signal frequency receiver is available. Leica, Garmin. These are some well-known GPS receivers that are available in the market. You can have any of the GPS receiver as per the requirement. Okay, the cost will be increased. There will be high cost of the GPS receiver when you go for the most precise information. Okay, if with increasing accuracy, price will also rise. Okay, there are several softwares are also available for downloading and post processing the coordinates or observations received by the GPS receiver. Esri ArcPad is a software that is used to process the GPS coordinates, GPS data sets. LinkPoint, GPS Pathfinder is another software that can process, that can download the data sets received in the GPS receiver. Health navigation, Trimble data transfer, Trimble geometrics office. So depending on the use of your GPS receiver, you can use any of the software. Like when we are using like you can say Garmin GPS. So Garmin GPS will be supported by the ISRI ArcPad software. Okay, when we are using Trimble GPS will be supported by Trimble data software. Okay, so whatever the data sets, whatever the signals, or you can say whatever the coordinates received by the Trimble GPS, it will be processed by the Trimble software only. So to download and post process the data sets received by the Trimble GPS will be will be downloaded only by the Trimble data transfer or Trimble geometric office. So depending on the company, depending on the type of GPS receiver you are using, you need to choose different softwares depending on your company. Okay, no Trimble data sets will be supported by the Garmin software. Okay, the only software it supports the if it is having from the same company. So when you purchase a GPS receiver, the company will also provide you the relevant software to download and process that data set during the post processing of your data. Okay. GPS receivers are available in various sizes. You can see these are the various types of GPS receivers. GPS receivers are available in various sizes depending on their accuracy, depending on their functioning, depending on their hardwares. Okay, but most of the GPS receivers or all the GPS receivers provides you the data in terms of latitude, longitude, and altitude or elevation. Okay, speed and direction of the movement can be estimated. Okay, if you want to have quick survey, then it is possible. Then it is very much useful to get the handheld GPS. Handheld GPS provides you the easiest way to get the rapid survey. Okay, but this kind of GPS which is required to have tripod, so you need to have manpower, you need to have time to use this kind of GPS receivers. Depending on your requirement, depending on the availability of manpower, you can use any of the GPS receiver. Okay, because GPS receivers are available in various sizes. So this is a Garmin GPS. Garmin is a very well-known GPS producer, GPS manufacturer of company. Garmin eTrax. This is the model known as eTrax. Okay, this is the fifth generation GPS receiver produced and manufactured by Garmin company. Garmin is very well-known company. Trimble is there. Okay, then Leica is there. There are several companies who are manufacturing the GPS receivers. Okay, but they are differing in the cost. Whatever the GPS you want, depending on their accuracy, you will have different cost, different price of different GPS receivers. Okay, so this is the simple way, simple Garmin GPS that is having different parts. That is, here is a button for zoom in, zoom out. There is a button for find, the page button, toggle button, on and off button is here. It is a display. This display will show you the elevation, latitude, longitude, and coordinates, and everything. All the GPS receiver will have some kind of display to visualize the number of satellites, the coordinates, latitude, longitude, elevation, and each and every information. It's a kind of, you can say, the mobile. You have to operate it in the way you operate your mobile, but it will be only used for getting the positional information in terms of latitude and longitude. In our department, we are also having Trimble GPS. Okay, so in the last semester, some of you have used Trimble GPS during your practicals. So who used that Trimble GPS, they very well known that how it looks and how it works. Okay. Okay, GPS devices may be used in different ways. Okay, GPS devices may be used in different ways. It may be used in GPS maps, smartphones. Okay, TomTom is a company that provides the GPS devices to the vehicles, to the cars. Now GPS is available in the smart watches. Okay, GPS is also available in the tablets also. So you may have different kinds of GPS devices inbuilt in different products. Okay, maps, smartphones, car, smartwatches, tablets, all are inbuilt, all are enabled with the GPS. So right now in most of GPS mobiles, in most of the mobiles you can have the GPS. In most of the tablets you have the GPS. So GPS is now inbuilt and enabled with different instruments, or maybe car, or maybe tablet, smartwatch, smartphone, and there may be GPS maps also. So okay, these are some MCQs related to today's lecture. Okay, the same will be uploaded on your LMS. You need to attempt these MCQs on your LMS related to today's lecture. Thank you very much for today's lecture. If anyone have any question, then you can ask your queries and question. Thank you.